Chapter 2, My Early Days with the Chimpanzees. Okay. Starter, how much do you know about chimpanzee? आप चिंपांजी के बारे में तो पता ही होगा, आपको जानते ही होगे, कितना जानते हो. Work with your partner to take this chimpanzee's quiz to check. Say whether the following statements are true or false. Chimpanzee are called the great apes along with the orangutans and gorillas. While chimpanzees live in Asia, Africa and Australia, true and false करने हमें. Chimpanzees are strictly herbivorous animals. Just we like we human being can use tools. Chimpanzee can use tools as well. For example, they can crack a nut with rocks. After human begins, chimpanzees are considered to be the most intelligent animals on this planet. Chimpanzee population is steadily growing now. Baby chimpanzees cling to their mother's belly for the first few months after the birth. Chimpanzees are called walkers. A full-grown ground chimpanzee can be 5 to 6 times stronger than a human being. Chimpanzee can never walk upright. Look at here. ये है चिंपांजी. ओके, हम स्टार्ट करते हैं. जैन गॉडेल स्पेंट मोर देन 55 years ऑब्जर्विंग वाइल्ड चिंपांजी इन गोम्बे स्ट्रीम नेशनल पार्क इन तांजानिया. रीड एंड एक्सपेक्ट फ्रॉम द हर ऑटोबायोग्राफिकल राइटिंग. ऑटोबायोग्राफिकल मतलब कि जो खुद से लिखा हुआ होता है वो. ओके, तो यहाँ पे स्टोरी है. जुलाई 16, 1960 was a day I shall remember all my life. It was when I first set foot on the sailing and sand beach of chimpanzee land. इस दिन जुलाई 16 को मैं चिंपांजीज के लैंड गई थी जहाँ चिंपांजीज रहते हैं. दैट इज अ गॉम्बे नेशनल पार्क. वो गॉम्बे नेशनल पार्क था. आई वॉज 26 years ओल्ड. मैं 26 years की थी. मम एंड आई वेर ग्रेटेड greeted by the 2 African game scouts who were responsible for protecting and 30 square millions of the park. बहुत बड़ा पार्क था एंड 13 स्क्वायर्स और वहाँ पे बहुत सारे मतलब एनिमल्स वगैरह थे. दे हेल्पेड अस फाइंड अ पैलेस वेयर वी काउड पुट अप अवर ओल्ड एक्स आर्मी टेंट. We choose a lovely spot under some trees near the small, fast-following cocomus tree stem. Every morning I got up when I heard at alarm clock at 5:30 a.m. मैं रोज सुबह जल्दी उठती थी 5-5:30 बजे तक. एंड आई एट अ कपल ऑफ स्लाइस ऑफ ब्रेड की स्लाइस एंड आई हैड अ कप ऑफ कॉफी का कप लेती एंड फ्लास्क में बैठ के अपना ब्रेकफास्ट फिनिश करती थी. देन आई सेट ऑफ क्लाइंबिंग टू वेयर आई थॉट द चिंपांजीज माइट बी. फिर मैं चढ़ने जाती थी जहाँ पे चिंपांजीज थे वहाँ पे. मोस्ट ऑफन आई वेंट टू द पीक. आई डिस्कवर्ड दैट फ्रॉम दिस हाई पैलेस आई हैड अ स्प्लेंडेड विद यू इन डायरेक्शंस. आई काउड सी चिंपांजी मूविंग इन द ट्रीज एंड आई काउड हियर इफ दे कॉल्ड. At first, I watched from afar through my binoculars and never tried to get close. I knew that if I did, the chimpanzee would rub away silently, gradually, धीरे began to learn about the chimpanzee home and how they lived. I discovered that most of the time the chimpanzees wandered about in small groups of 6 or less. छोटे छोटे ग्रुपों में चिंपांजीज देखने को मिलते हैं. नॉट इन अ बिग ट्रूप लाइक बबून्स. बबून्स एक चिंपांजी जैसे ही होते हैं, बंदरों की जैसे दिखते हैं. a little group was made up of a mother with her children. वो छोटे छोटे ग्रुप बनाते हैं. और to their adult males by themselves. Sometimes many groups joined together, especially when there was a deciduous ripe fruit on the big tree. When the chimpanzees got together like that, they were very excited made a lot of noise and were easy to find. Eventually, I realized that the chimpanzees I watched from the peak were all part of one group, a community. There were about 50 chimpanzees belonging to this community. 50 जितने चिंपांज यहाँ पे थे. From the peak, I noted which trees the chimpanzees were feeding in. Then when there had gone, I scrambled down and collected some of the leaves, flowers and fruits so they could be identified later. जो चिंपांज थे वो घास फूस और ऐसी चीजें खाते थे. फ्लावर्स हैं, फ्रूट्स ज्यादा खाते थे चिंपांज. फाउंड दैट द चिंपांज ईट मोस्टली फ्रूट्स बट ऑल्सो गुड मैनी काइंड्स ऑफ लीव्स, ब्लूम्स, सीड्स जैसे बीज हैं, एंड स्टीम्स जड़ें जो होती हैं वो ज्यादातर खाते थे. लेटर आई वुड डिस्कवर that they also that eat a variety of insect and sometimes hunt and kill prey animals. So कई बार वो जो कीड़े मकोड़े होते थे वो भी खाते थे, इंसेक्ट की जो ब्रीड होती थी वो, एंड किल एनी एनिमल्स, और दूसरे एनिमल्स को मार के भी खाते थे. टू फीड ऑन मीट, मीट खाते थे. ड्यूरिंग दिस मंथ्स a gradual discovers the chimpanzees very slowly began to realize that I was not a threatening after all. Even so, it was almost before I could approach them within 100 yards, and that is not really very close. As the time went by, I began to learn more about the other creatures that shared the forest with the chimpanzees. There were 4 kinds of monkey in addition to the baboons. ये monkey होते हैं, monkey की breed है ये baboons. And many similar animals such as sequoias and mongoose, gilheri and mongoose. There was also a wool variety of nocturnal creatures, porcupines, and coyotes, and all manners of rats and mice. Only a very few animals in the forest at Gombe were potentially dangerous. बहुत ज़्यादा डेंजरस एनिमल्स भी थे यहाँ पे गॉम्बे जो था वहाँ पे. मेनली बफेलो एंड लियोपार्ड्स, बफेलो भी थी, लियोपार्ड्स भी थे, चीते भी थे, एंड ऑफ कोर्स देयर आर पॉइजनस स्नैकर्स एंड 7 डिफरेंट काइंड्स. लुक एट हियर, यहाँ पे हमें दिया गया है, ये है पॉर्स्प्यून्स, लार्गेज रैट लाइक एनिमल्स विथ स्पाइक्स ऑन देयर बॉडी एंड टेल. आप देख सकते हो इसकी बॉडी पे ये चूहा है, इसकी ब्रीड है प्रोक्यूपाइन्स, एंड इसकी जो आप देख सकते हो रैट है ये, इसके ऊपर स्पाइक्स हैं इस तरीके से पूरी बॉडी एंड टेल पे. एंड ये है सीवेट्स कैट लाइक एनिमल्स विथ स्पॉटेड फूर. ये रहा एनिमल्स, ये कैट है, ये इस टाइप का है, वहां पे ये भी थे. एंड मेनली बफेलो एंड लियोपार्ड्स, एंड ऑफ कोर्स देयर आर अपॉर्चुनेटली 7 different kinds. As I arrived on the peak in the early morning, before it was properly light, I saw the dark shape of the largest animals looming in the front of me. I stood quite still. My heart began to beat fast. मेरा दिल जोर जोर से धड़कने लगा. For I realized it was a buffalo. It was a buffalo. Many hunters fear buffalo more than lions or elephants. By a lucky chance, the wind was blowing from him to me, so he counted to smell me. He was peacefully grazing in the opposite direction and chewing his cud. He hadn't hurt my approach. I always try to move as quickly as I can in the bush, so thought I was only 10 yards from him. He had no idea I was there. Very slowly I retreated, पीछे हटा. Another time I was As I was sitting on the peak, I heard a strange moving sound. I looked around, and there, about 15 yards away, a leopard was approaching. I could see the back and white lip tips of its tail about the tall grass. It was walking along the little trailer so that lead directly to where I sat. Leopards are not usually dangerous unless they have been wounded. घायल wounded means कि घायल होता है. Very slightly I moved away and looked for chimpanzees and another valley. Later I went back to the peak. नेक्स्ट है आगे है द पिक बिगेन टू फील लाइक होम. आई कैरिड अ लिटल टीन ट्रंक अप देयर. इन द आई कीप्ड अ केटल, some sugar and coffee and a tin mug. Then when I got tired to a long trek to another valley, I could make a drink in the middle of the day. I kept a blanket up there too, and when the chimpanzee slept near the peak, I slept there so that I could be close by in the morning. I loved to be up right there at night, especially when there was a moon. If I heard a cowing ground of a leopard, I just prayed and pulled the blanket over my head. Chimpanzees sleep all night, just as we do from the peak. I often watched how they made their nest or beds. First, the chimpanzee bent a branch down over some slight foundations. Snakes as a fork or two parallel branches, holding it in the place with his feet. He then bent another over it. Then he folded the end of the first branch back over the second, and so on. He often ended up picking lots of small, soft leafy twigs to make a pillow. Next, chimpanzees like their comfort. I've learned over the years that in fact sleep in their nest there with their mothers until they are about 5 years old, or until the next baby is born and their older child has to make its own bed. I never returned to come up before sunset. शाम ढलने तक रिटर्न हो जाना था. बट इवन I slept on the peak. I first went down to have a supper with mom and tell her what I had seen that day, and she would tell me what she had been doing. Mom set up a clinic. She handed on out medicines to any of other locals, mostly fishermen who very sick. Once she crowded on an old man who was very ill. Indeed, word about this cure spread far and wide, and sometimes patients would walk 4 miles to get a treatment. Her clinic was very good for me. It meant that a local people realized and wanted to help. Mom had to go back to engaged after 4 months to manage things at home. Of course, I missed her later after she had gone, but I didn't have time to be lonely. There was so much to do. Okay, expert from my life with the chimpanzees, जैन गॉडवल, जिन्होंने ये स्टोरी लिखी है. एंड लुक एट, ये रहा पिक्चर, चिंपांजीज ये रहे. ओके